Arlene here on the show. Earlier, we met Lori and Maureen, who very graciously shared their stories with us of being bullied, teased in school, made fun of. And Gail, our resident licensed family and marriage therapist here on the show, was just about to say something. Gail, yung situation in Maureen, she was being teased by her peers. So do you just let it slide because you don't want to stand up to your friends, or are they being friendly, or are they being a bully?
Right, and I think that that's one of the skills later on when we talk about this and how to prevent bullying, where we teach the kids how do you determine who's a friend, a real friend, and if they are real friends, what do they do? What are the good behaviors that they should be showing you?
How do you determine?
Well, if you're getting hurt and people are telling you all these derogatory terms, then if they're not being friends. The problem with that is, of course, when you're in that situation, you're not really going to be confident enough to tell them, hey, you know, this is hurting me.
Yeah, and the feeling that they're ganging up on you. You're only one, and let's say there's 4 friends. I know you have thoughts about this, Lori, because you're also a preschool teacher, and you mentioned that at a very early age, 4, 5, maybe even younger, you teach kids to stand up, to speak up for themselves. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm very fortunate to be teaching at a school where one of our philosophies is anti-bias.
Okay.
And we teach anti-bias tolerance at a very young age, as young as 2, 3-year-olds. We're there to facilitate for them, and also to speak for them if they're not able to whoever it is, that if they're playing with somebody and let's say a child takes away their toy. I mean, that's a form of bullying right there.
Okay.
We just encourage them to use their words and to say, I don't like that. That hurts my feelings.
Right.
Simple words like that.
Do you think that it could also be a cultural thing? Because in the Philippines, we're not taught that. Because everyone's equal. We're not, and plus also the culture. Like, we're taught to be timid. We're taught to be just keep it to ourselves. Maureen, was there ever a time that you stood up?
I honestly would say no, because I was in transition, and so I was trying to gauge just how my peers would react in those kinds of situations, and I didn't want to be the tattle. I didn't want to be the sensitive goody two-shoe who'd be like, you guys stop it, it's hurting my feelings.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be that person.
Right.
And so for a while I kept it in. I actually did not even talk about this with my family, or especially not with my friends.
Did you talk about the being bullied to your family? Did you share that experience?
I did share it with my siblings. To my parents, no, I wouldn't say I felt comfortable enough.
Okay, where does family come in?
Well, the family should come in. Well, first of all, I think that the parents ultimately have the responsibility to make sure that their kids are having what's the quality of life that their child are having in the school. And you don't have to hear it from the child. You can observe, you can look at certain behaviors which could tell you.
What are some of the behaviors?
Well, if they're not coming home excited about school. And then the first thing that you should ask them is, okay, well, give me the names of your friends.
Okay.
You know, that should give you an example of, and if you're going through this major life change, I think as a parent, it would be very helpful to go to the school at some point and check out what's going on with the child. You know, sometimes you'll catch some parents outside the school fence looking at the kids while they're at, the yard playing.
Okay.
That's a very good way of looking at it.
Okay.
And I think you have to be really involved. And real quick, Janelle, I think that the Filipino culture in itself inherently doesn't like confrontation.
Yes.
So you cannot expect a Filipino child to say, hey, you know what, you're hurting me. Even if it's going to be in a nice way.
And also, when you come home, even when you're open to your family, you tell your mom, this person is doing this to me. And then your parents would normally say, naku anak, magtiis ka na lang, makibagay ka na lang.
And it's very, the usual reasons for migrating here are usually financial.
Okay.
So when you don't, as a child, you learn not to tell your parents that you're not having a good time, because that's complaining. And you're questioning their decision. So really, it's a very for the Filipinos, it's really, I think, a big a major issue for the kids in moving here.
So that said, what do we do? We're going to be talking about that when we return. Don't go away.
Ang programang ito ay handog sa inyo ng US Bank. We're proud to serve California.